The meeting is now being recorded, so behave.
Yes.
Yeah.
No more jokes, guys.
More jokes.
Okay. I don't know, say a couple of minutes more and we will start. Abdullah, Junaid. Good evening, Junaid. How are you doing? And Sindhu,
Hi, thanks.
Sindhu, good evening. Okay, I guess we should start. I don't know, Slim, if you want
Yes.
to start so we can
minute.
gain time. Yeah.
So,
And Sindhu, we have two different Eduardos tonight. The nice one is in Austria. And yes, the nicest one is in Austria. And yeah, I like your name, by the way.
Pretty cool,
I like
right?
your name. Yeah. Okay.
yes, I think everything is set up. Setting up. Okay.
Hello to both Eduardos. Hello. Okay, very good.
Okay, so on me. So hello everyone. I'm Slim Othman, the volunteer event manager for Architect Hub Qatar. I hope you are well and in the best of health. I'm glad to have you all on board today for our online Hub talk entitled How Timber Hybrid Builds Our Future Cities. The talk will be presented by architect Lct Assembly and architect Eduardo Silva Maza, and moderated by architect Eduardo Gaitan, our fantastic member of Architect Hub Qatar. So before starting, allow me to define the Architect Hub in two small words. The Architect Hub Qatar is a non-profit architectural association registered in Qatar under the Qatar Financial Center Authority. Our hub talks are events to harness the diverse and intellectual wisdom of the crowd, keeping architects connected to peers and with wider market, local and global. And before handing over to Eduardo, let me remind you about that our session will be recorded. Will be also live streaming on Facebook. Some small rules that I want to remind. All the attendees should be kept on mute during the presentation. We will open the floor after for interaction and question. You can just raise your hands or send your query on the chat. So we will notice that and give you the speech. I think that's all. Thanks again for your attendance, and I hope you will enjoy the talk. Eduardo, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Perfect. Which of both Eduardos?
Our Eduardo.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Also, I will join the Slim words. I would like to thank you all for joining us tonight on this webinar. As usual, you're aware that the effort of this hub is to build a global network for architects and all related professionals, with the goal of connecting people and peers to industry professionals globally. And I would like to thank Cree for setting this scenario for tonight's Hub Talk. Cree, for those of you that has not heard about the company, it's more or less, correct me if I'm wrong, a group of companies, more than a company, it's a group of companies that has been developing a different nature of products for the last 10 years, committed to innovation in sustainable large volume building development. And they have a strong presence in Europe. They are also evolving in the market of America, and And apart from that, you guys are also starting to get involved in the Asia market, right? In Japan and Singapore. So it's a very well experienced company. They have understood really well the challenge of the industrialization of the products in construction. So it's a company that has been evolving really quick, but doing a very interesting work. So tonight we'll have Eduardo and Elif, both of them architects. I have let's say the good experience to work with Eduardo for several years in different projects in Spain, in Saudi, in Qatar. And he's a very high qualified professional with more than 15 years of experience. He has worked in more than 7 different countries. So it's a very seasoned professional. And Elif that has an impressive background as well. She holds a master in architectural science. She has been working and living in Turkey, in UK, in London, also at the States, and now she's based in Austria, working as building system architect. So that's the introduction. Now the presentation is all yours. Please feel free to type the questions if you have some. We will try to do this conversation or discussion often at the end. So if the audience have some questions, they can refer to Eduardo and to Elif. And thank you very much once again for being here and for opening this space for this knowledge sharing. We really appreciate it for your effort, for your time, and definitely we will enjoy this presentation. All yours, Eduardo.
Okay, thank you so much, Eduardo, for your introduction. I guess you couldn't have said it better. So yeah, thank you also for the Architects Hub for inviting us and for having us here. And well, good evening, everyone who's listening. And if it's okay, so I will share my screen with a presentation. So it's this one, right? Here. Okay. So are you looking just to make clear that you're looking at the presentation, right?
Yes, it started already on the screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm just gonna move it really quick. So thank you for the invitation again. This is I am Eduardo. Here with me is Elif. I'm gonna make the first part of the presentation. Elif is gonna make the second part, and then we're gonna have some time for discussion. Okay, so let's go for the presentation. So to begin, let's talk about the current situation that we have. Since lots of decades already, more and more people are moving into the cities every year. Therefore, the demand for building construction is inevitably increasing. By 2050, more than 75% of the population will live in megacities, and we need to build 3 billion homes. The building industry is responsible for a considerable amount of the negative impacts of the environment caused by human activities. 40% of today's energy and resource consumption, as well as 40% of all CO2 emissions and waste production, are accounted by global construction business. Urban architecture has been based predominantly on conventionally produced prototypes with long, complex, and resource-intensive construction processes. So if you think it through, every building is a prototype. There are not two alike, even if they seem like. And the process of making these buildings have stagnated since decades and has barely improved, even with all the technology available that we have. So that's why this industry needs a change, an innovation method. So because of this, The company's aim is to transform the building industry into a more effective and industrialized way in order to increase productivity, get rid of mistakes during planning and construction, and ease the negative impact with a better building performance. So Cree's principles for developing this new way of building can be summarized in these 5 points. All our efforts are based on sustainability. We follow systemized approach with the highest grade of prefabrication to increase the productivity in the building industry, and by using the minimum of resources in our buildings, which we minimize the CO2 emissions. So these principles were achieved by the life cycle tower system, the LCT system, which began as a research and development project inspired by the life cycle assessment of buildings. The motivation was to find a substitute for the traditional ways of constructing to meet the occurring high urbanization demands, and which does not deplete world's resources and harms the environment. So the core and shell of the Cree system is composed by these 6 main and simple elements: the foundation, core, hybrid slab panel, glulam facade column, middle girder, and middle column. So now let me show you the Cree superstructure. The load-bearing structure along our regular grids of 2.5, 2.7, and 3 meters consists of 2 basic elements. One is the hinged glulam double columns, and the other one is the hybrid slab elements, which are composed of glulam beams and a thin concrete layer. So to avoid stressing wood cross to the grain, we introduced a concrete edge beam along the facade. Of course, all dimensions are subject to project-related structural calculations, but usually the double columns are 24 by 49 centimeters. The timber beams of the slab elements are 24 by 28 centimeters, and the concrete layer of the slab element is 10 centimeters thick. So to ensure a better understanding how the superstructure has to be installed within a Cree project, we created the Lct Assembly Files. In combination with our design manual, it is easy for planners and architects to create their own projects. Depending on the needs and requirements of our clients, we are offering the same structural idea of our ribbed slab panel, along with a flat slab panel as well. Well, you even can combine these 2 solutions in one building. For example, the ribbed slab panel system for office areas and the flat slab panel for residential use. The facade is a timber frame wall prefabricated element, which is connected to the glulam columns. And this facade is assembled to the hybrid slab, and the steps repeat as the top drawings show in this image. Okay, so now reduction is the key element of our approach. We avoid prototypes and reduce complexity with our systemized approach with standardized solutions. Our system uses the sufficient amount of material in order to fulfill the safety requirements. We reduce also the amount of gray energy and the weight of our building to 1/3 using renewable building materials. Using mass timber reduces the CO2 emissions of Cree buildings to 20%. So we call our projects less tech buildings. Not everything that is available on the market needs to appear in every building. Our BIM approach combined with proof solutions reduces mistakes to a minimum. What makes systemized design stand out today is the emphasis of early integrated design approach. One solution is to place the MEP service components as a prefabricated element between the timber beams, like you see it in here on the image. The system has been tested against fire, and the result is a 2-hour fire-resistant rate as well. So now I will show you a time lapse of the assembly of the LCT1, which is the building that we are right now in here. I hope the internet connection is good, so let's try it. So here you can see the LCT1 assembly process. I hope you can see it well. And yeah, so as you have seen, the assembly process took only 8 days to erect this building of 8 stories. And now, how do we work? Cree shares knowledge and joins forces with partners around the world. We have partners in Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Luxembourg, Portugal, Singapore, Japan, and Switzerland so far. And now let me show you a really quick view of some of the projects that Cree has completed or are in the current process. So we start with the LCT1. So I showed you already in the time lapse, is our pilot project, so to say, and it's where we are right now. You can see the glulam beams just on the background. So it is located here in Austria, in Dornbirn, Austria, and it was completed in 2012. This building is the world's first multi-story hybrid timber passive house building with a modular construction system. So another example is the IZM, which is located here, in the Montafon region here in Austria as well. It was completed in 2013 and has a gross floor area of more than 11,000 square meters. This is an office building equipped with exposition areas, a big canteen for the workers, and open office areas for the electricity company. And part of it gives the appearance of floating over a lake, which is so cool, by the way. So another project is our first project in the Asian continent is the Eunoia Junior College and Education Building in Singapore, which was completed last year. Here you can see the glulam beams inside the classrooms and integrated into the rest of the design. Our newest completed building is a Handwerkerhaus in Bremen, Germany, and it's the headquarters of our partners in Germany. It has a gross floor area of 3,700 square meters, and it was assembled from cornerstone to topping out in only 12 days. So here there's another time lapse. I hope it's all right. You can see the time lapse of the assembly process as well for this building in Bremen. Which was made in 12 days, as I mentioned. And now our current assembling project as well in Germany is the SXB, which is located in Berlin, and it's composed by 2 office buildings of 7 and 8 stories. It has a gross floor area of 32,000 square meters, and well, just as a note, in the bigger building, there will be an atrium with suspended passerelles to go from one point to another and having meeting points on the so-called trees and on the ground floor as well, as you can see in the image on the right. So with this, just really quick, with these images, you can see the assembly process of the SXB project, which is currently going so far. And yeah, so that's more or less the first part of the presentation. Now I will just give the floor to my colleague Elif.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Eduardo, for showing the projects and the system. So to recap, we facilitate progress in planning and construction with our sustainable and prefabricated timber building system. That's what we have already spoken to you about. And now we want to see this achieved on a worldwide scale. And this is where you come in. Collaboration. We believe that we can change the way people are used to working with each other in the building industry. So it's a very conventional industry, and the development towards industrial change is pretty slow, and we are here to speed that up. And we believe that together we can all contribute to a more sustainable world. So how do we do that? It's very simple. We bring people together on our digital platform and we transfer know-how. So here you see a snapshot from our website, and on the top right-hand side, you see platform. That's our biggest vision right now. And you can simply click on it and join us. So join this moment. Here on our platform, we are making the knowledge available to people. Registration is free and it's open to everybody. So once you register, you will be immediately able to access the part of the knowledge base, which is open to public. And our licensees that Eduardo showed a couple of slides before can access all the content in the knowledge base. So we support you by implementing the timber hybrid construction faster and easier in your daily businesses. But we need to get to know your needs as well. So what does that mean? That means that it is not a one-way communication, rather it's a collaborative workspace for us. So this means as well, we can support you by providing the right information you need. Our platform is the knowledge base where you find your solutions and share innovations of Cree partners. So the platform is the place where we stay connected worldwide and not only operate from Austria, a small city in Dornbirn. So this platform is to work, inform yourselves, connect, communicate, and share knowledge in a very easy way. There are plenty of solutions resulted from our experience in building with timber hybrid already available to you. And in addition to all the knowledge on our free platform, we give the opportunity, the space and the possibility to communicate with each other and the team of experts. So on the top floor, you see knowledge base, project, community, marketplace, and Cree studios. These spaces are there to find partners. We provide the access to lists of all planners, suppliers, production plans, and more. Therefore, I can say that our digital portal serves as a platform where these Cree certified planners meet with Cree licensees, which leads to the best practices. So Cree certified planners, what we call, are more than encouraged to bring their projects, ask for support to implement a timber hybrid project, our system, to their projects. And also, they are the first planners to be informed and work collaboratively with our licensees on our upcoming projects. So, how to become a Cree certified planner? To even further enhance the Cree experience, we have launched an initiative called Cree Studios, which is also implemented on the platform. So Cree Studios is launched to spread the Cree movement amongst planners, starring architects, which means you. And we will meet your needs specifically here. When you're utilizing Cree Studios, you understand the design principles, you will understand how Cree works, and you will understand the systemized way of thinking. And last but not least, you will be able to take advantage of the Cree planning process, which is a very accelerated, faster, easier planning process when compared to the conventional planning processes that we are dealing right now. So, when we say systemized planning or system in the beginning, a lot of us are afraid in the first place that it kind of limits the architectural aspiration. Most of the architects wants to be free and design freely, put their own characteristics, personality on their design. But I will definitely tell you that the system actually does not limit an architect's creativity. In fact, it's the opposite. It offers potential as well as the certainty that the solution is already resource optimized. It's a very easy planning process as well, since we have a lot of our components ready to use and publicly available. It's easy to model, everything is integrated, as Eduardo mentioned. And it's a very encouraging and innovative way of building, I would say. So when we talk about the system, actually, imagine a system that will deliver a unique, fully sustainable timber hybrid building. And all this within the blink of an eye. It's that fast. And at Cree Studios, we show you how to minimize the complexity. Here you see an example of a very, very simple rectangular floor plan. And each color represents different slabs. They are actually pretty much same, the idea is same, but very little connection details are different. So even on the simplest floor plan like this, we have very different number of slabs. But as the building gets bigger and bigger and the repetition is higher, the number of various slabs doesn't matter. It's actually then turns out to be an advantage. So minimizing complexity, here Cree system shows you the structural superstructure of the building, but actually there is no limitation to the design. So architect is free to choose the facaded ones, free to express their vision in the project. Here is another example, which is very far end of a systemized thing. Of course, this is not the ideal Cree building we would like to build or deal with. However, I would like to still show you that it's possible. Even such a building shape is actually systemized when it's thought through from the beginning. And there is, again, no design limitations. So I would like to say that what we're implying with the systemized way of thinking is actually no different than how buildings were designed a couple of decades ago, before technology made every kind of shape possible. So for example, the size of bricks, the architects needed to design the facade measurements according to that. Or here you see in the middle, Japanese mats, which I find it's very similar to our idea of systemized thinking. So what stands out today is the technology and integrated approach at the very early stage. So from my personal experience and from my background, I'm from Turkey, which is a country where sustainability is definitely not the priority, and timber building is a foreign structural material to the industry. But this is how the change begins. So for example, Murray Grove Apartments, built in 2009, it's the first mass timber building in London. And they had to deal a lot with regulations, how to design, how to protect against fire, but it was done. And I think it opened a very generous way for the industry for the upcoming years. However, even though timber has been in our lives for a long time now, especially in the European market, it's still not enough, because when you look around, that building is actually the only timber building standing alone in surrounded by concrete steel construction. So if we would like to be more efficient, be more sustainable, and like Eduardo mentioned, build 3 billion homes in the upcoming years, then we need to change things. So here's another example. This is Forte Living in Australia in 2012. This was also a very big deal. And it's again standing alone in that built environment. So actually that's how timber hybrid is a little bit more advantageous than the mass timber, because we can build faster when it's systemized, it's efficient and feasible. And this is how I think a conventional construction industry might experience change. So I don't know about the time right now. I will check. It's actually been shorter than what we planned for half an hour. But I will recap for all the things we shared. So this is what we can do for you. We collaborate, we share the knowledge, and Cree platform is, and especially specifically Cree Studios, is the place where architects live, where architects learn how to use the system, where they meet each other, where they find potential projects or serve their services. We say we have no secrets. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We would really like to encourage a change. Therefore, we would like to share what we learned in the past couple of 10 years. And the whole purpose of know-how and launching Cree Studios is to train planners, especially architects, so that you can see the benefits of our system and hopefully use it in your future projects. And of course, in return, we ask you to share your experience from your projects as well, so that we can learn from you and we can work together towards future. This will help us creating and expanding our knowledge base, which will be beneficial for you as well. So it doesn't matter where we are in the world, because we have the technology to work remotely, collaborate from any place in the world, as you see from the examples of our partners in Japan and Singapore. And if we work together, we believe we can make a real difference. So we say, let's go beyond the conventional, and please feel free to join us on our platform. And thank you for your time. Yeah, we can have questions.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let me once again thank you guys, Eduardo and Elif. It is a very nice presentation. It's a very bright concept. I used to have a lot of questions before, but during the presentation you have almost cleared all of them out. But I would like to bring them on board just to start the discussion. It called my attention, of course, when you guys are mentioning that that, say, the main strength of this system is the industrial production, that for sure is it time saving on the execution of the projects. You call this under the sustainability umbrella, that is clearly defined by not only by the process but the material that you're using. So that optimization of process that is saving time on the execution, I guess that also saving cost for the projects. Mm-hmm. And also granting some sustainable well performance of the buildings. You have also mentioned, Elif, about the I was worried about the limitation of the system, let's say limitation of creativity based on the system nature, but you have shown some good examples of that the creativity can be taken far away from just a regular framework processes or let's say cube buildings, which is really good. And so I will stay with two important things. The first one, I really like the idea of your platform of knowledge sharing, because this goes perfectly aligned with the Architects Hub main core soul, that is the knowledge sharing. So once again, congratulations. Thank you very much for this presentation, and we will start with some of the questions that the people is sharing on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from Gauri. He's saying, I'm curious to know how the system or this material react to the weather change, or what are the considerations regarding whether the temperature change?
I can answer this. So timber is actually very resilient product. What's important in our design is all the exposed timber structure is actually within the border. So it's actually inside, and we are not exposing to outside weather conditions. On top of that, we have tested the durability of timber in Singapore, which is very high temperatures plus high humidity, and we did not experience any negative impacts. So right now in Europe, we have no additional coating or anything on the timber, but if it's necessary, the timber can also be treated accordingly. So there is actually not a lot of problems regarding the weather change. The only issue is within the framework of sustainability, we would like to have our timber sourced locally and transport to little distances. But of course, it's the ideal case, but not the real case. For example, to Singapore, we shipped the timber. So it's not the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle. And the other question, I think, is from you as well. Can we use the system for high-rise buildings? I'm sorry that we forgot to mention.
We didn't mention that.
The whole research project was actually done to prove that timber building can be used in high-rise building, more than just 8-9 story buildings. So the project actually proved that it's okay up to 30-story building. And this is achieved, of course, by a little bit help of concrete, so having a composite system. But it's definitely high-rise buildings what we are going for, and large volume buildings. So not only maybe skyscrapers, but also groundscapers.
Interesting, very good. They are asking also about this system comparison in terms of cost against a regular or traditional concrete steel construction building. So in terms of cost, what's the comparative that you can have with your timber system?
Well, in this case, of course, there is. Well, we have made some tests as well, comparing the conventional way of building and the Cree system, and it has been tested that it's in a way more or less the same amount of money, because it might be that the materials could be in a way a bit more expensive, but if you take into account all the time savings of the construction phase, and all the transportation and all this well, all these matters at the end of the day, all these construction costs, they would be barely the same as a conventional way of building.
Yeah. For example,
plus the environmental impact that I guess that this is also.
Exactly.
In fact, that leads us to the next question that is something that Junaid is asking, and is about timber and sustainability. He's asking about the impact of having the exploitation of the timber. How do you consider that in terms of? I know the answer to that, but I want you guys to.
Sure. So this has been of course, discussion since the last 20 years, but there is a high regulation on where the timber is coming from. So it's called sustainably managed forests. And we also make sure that our timber is coming from sustainably managed forests. So no deforestation or exploitation of the land is, it's out of the table, definitely. And it grows really fast. So if it's cut at the right time and the right rate, there's absolutely no risk. Plus, timber stores carbon dioxide in it when it's cut before it dies and emits that carbon dioxide again. So it's actually even more sustainable.
Okay, good. Salim, you want to ask something, right? Please.
Yes. First, thank you, Eduardo and Elif, for the presentation. Actually, I have two questions. I want to know what's exactly the role of Cree. It's only design and supply and installation. What's exactly your impact? For example, if I am here in Doha and I want to have my building with your system, how it's going? And the second question, what about the maintenance of your product and the durability? After how much, let's say 2 or 3 years, you should make maintenance, or it's a daily maintenance? How is it going?
Okay, so I will ask I will answer the first question, that how does Cree work? We are, as Elif was saying, we have this platform, and we are, yeah, like a bunch of companies gathering together in this platform, and we in a way connect the companies. You, for example, if you want to build from Doha, there should be, of course, an agreement within the companies, and then this agreement should take into account an internal contractor, for example, which are the main partners that we have. And then through the general contractor, then it's the way we share the knowledge towards them, and then they build your design. And then and maintenance, there is no maintenance whatsoever in these buildings. As you can see in here, it has been built in 2012, and there's no maintenance, not on the timber hybrid.
There's another question related to it. I'm sorry. Is about the product per se. Do you have to protect this, for example, for insects or rodents or any external factors, biological factors? Because you have said on the presentation, you have shared that image that you have tested for fire, and it is 120 minutes resistant. But how about all the, let's say, organic possible factors?
The wood here is not treated. There is no problem. The wood we shipped to Singapore was treated against termites, which was only a thin coating that did not affect anything whatsoever. So the humidity level in the timber needs to be around 12%. So when that's kept during the production, so if the timber is produced correctly, then there's no problem in the upcoming years when it's built.
And in this case, for example, we have, well, as I mentioned before, it's the timber that we have is glulam, which is different layers. So there's no way that for example the insects can just dig all the way to the through the whole timber or mass timber that we have as well.
Okay.
We in one project, so we just painted the timber to a lighter color, just for aesthetical reasons, that the architect wanted a whiter look than this look in the behind. So those
Okay,
kind of
that takes us to another question that it's on the chat about the species of wood that can be used in interiors or as decorative materials. I'm guessing the material that you have it can be used already as a finished material. Okay.
It's a finished material, by the way. We don't treat it to any other thing. So it's as you see it, it's the plain finished material.
Okay. And what's any type of wood or any specific wood type that the one that you're using?
To be honest, I've only worked with structural timber, which is either spruce or oak. So I don't know what other kinds of timber are used in the interiors that are not necessarily load bearing. But yeah, spruce and oak is mainly what we use.
Okay, and what about the structural behavior, for example, for earthquakes? Do you have tested the system or?
Yes, we have tested the system in the US some years ago, and we are still in developing this structural system, and also with our Japanese partners. We are right now testing it over there because it's we're gonna build the first building in near Tokyo. So it has to be, of course, tested and pass this earthquakes test. But we are right now working on it.
That's very nice. Okay, before we start closing the conversation, we still have some more minutes for another couple of questions. Yes, Jaber, please.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. One question about the circular form. You said there is no design limitation. You can use the circular line and form.
So that's actually not the ideal case, not the easy production, but the system becomes more feasible when there is a very big volume of building and high reputation. So in that example, the circular form was divided in such a nice way that there were only 3 different slab options. And there were 3 other buildings as well. So once you produce the scaffolding in the factory for those kind of slabs, then it's easy to repeat the process, and which makes it systemized and cost compatible. However, what we experienced is with rectangular slabs. So
how about the elevation? I saw only a rectangular opening. We cannot have circular.
Yeah, no, of course you can. No. None of the architects from the previous projects chose a circular opening. That's why we don't have the images. But of course, it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah. Okay.
As long as between the glulam columns, so not going through them.
Yeah, it has part of the structural system that we have.
One more question. How about the specification of the wood and the species? It's hook, like you said, or?
Yeah, it's spruce or oak. There is a comparison table. Our structural engineer has it. But there is a different grades for structural and visual quality as well. So we don't choose one. The architect and the developer chooses whatever they want.
And there is no effect about the forest, and when you use too much wood and you cut the trees.
It should be certified that it's coming from a managed forest and not from just somewhere.
Yeah, everything has to be controlled, by the way.
Yeah. There are some regulations in Europe that there are some zones where you have, let's say, grounded wood for these kind of purposes, and it's very, very well controlled. And it's not that they are cutting the trees out of nowhere to have this. Is certain areas of grounded forest for this purpose, and they have a limitation, and they have to comply with a very rigorous standards, and that work.
Sorry.
That works. Yeah, that works very well. Central Europe and Northern Europe is very well regulated.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and just to this is I mean the manufacturers are the ones, of course, who have to have this to pass this quality control. So everything has to be controlled as well.
Exactly. There's another question here regarding the additional load that you can burn to the system, or if you want to for example, add some false ceiling or to hang something from the structure. Is the structure prepared for it, or? I mean, I know that the finishing of the material or the panels is already prepared to have all the systems in it, and that will be as the one that you have behind you. Mm-hmm. But in case, for example, somebody wants to do some treatment with false ceiling, is it prepared for it, or?
Yes, it's durable enough to hold to some limit. So I cannot say whether it's 100% okay or not knowing the weight of the fake ceiling, but the structure is prepared for these kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's allow me to remind everyone, please, just go to the website of Cree, what Elif have explained today about the knowledge sharing platform. Please definitely join, access to the information. And I don't know, Eduardo, Elif, if you want to share your email address with the Architects Hub, because I know that there will be plenty of additional questions that cannot be covered during this time.
You might have, please contact us.
Yes.
Should we write it in the chat or?
Yes, definitely. Yes, please. And apart from that, to call everyone's attention here, especially the people that is here, most of the attendees now are in Middle East. Even that Elif has already explained that the desirable panorama is not to let's say, ship all the material from there to here. It's not the desirable panorama, but don't forget that for example, in Qatar, we are right now building a stadium that has been produced and manufactured fully in Spain and bring into containers. That is I'm just missing the name, Rasabu Stadium. Mm-hmm. So it means that all these kind of systems are opening a new perspective on how to improve on these processes, construction processes, and industrialized processes to optimize the execution of the projects. Guys, okay, we are going to start closing the session. If you want to have any question or to do any question, please address this to Eduardo and to Elif. And I would like to thank Slim for the organization of the event, and Omeima and all the supporters. And I will be expecting to see you guys soon. And thanks again to Cree for sharing all this amazing presentation. And I hope to see you soon. Slim, if you want to close the session.
Yes, thank you, Eduardo, for being our fantastic moderator for the talk today. Thanks again, Eduardo, Silva, and Elif. I want to thank also all the participants and I won't ask them if they have any other question to address it directly to Elif or Eduardo. Otherwise, they can send it to us and we should forward it to you. Also, I want to invite you to join us on Friday, talk with the entertainment night. It will be on Friday, at 7:30. So be with us and follow us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Thanks again every time and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Hey, thank you
very much.
Thank you.
And please join
Thank
the platform.
Thank you, Elif and Eduardo, for this beautiful lecture.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for inviting us.